Hello guys and gals. It's me, Various Ordinary Gamers here, and today for Haunted Gaming, we'll be checking out 3 shorter stories. I thought that'd be pretty interesting to check out 3 shorter stories instead of like one long one like I usually do. Just because I've had these on my radar for a little while, and they can't really make up their own video, but combined together they work. And today's theme for these creepypastas will be anime. So yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, guys and gals, I'll also be rotating music in this video, so it won't be just one track throughout the whole video, so I want to get your feedback on that. Tell me if you like that in the comments below. If you don't like that, please tell me on the comments below. Yeah, let's get right into the creepypastas for today, the anime creepypastas that I talked about beforehand. Yeah.
You don't exist. It was 8:30 p.m. as I arrived. I checked the mailbox to see if there was some crap or something inside. As I inserted my hands inside the mailbox, I saw something that caught my attention. It was a CD case with no label on it. Taking a closer look, I opened it and saw a CDR disc with no title. I went upstairs to my bedroom and started the disc onto my computer, only to find out that something was not right. The installation process seemed normal. I clicked install, prompting the game to start the installation process. Several minutes later, the computer began to glitch out of control. "What is happening?" I shouted as it lasted for a full minute. The screen faded to black for 7 seconds. Eventually the game booted up. It was a Clannad game. So the ordinary background, it was just a black void with nothing more than the title in the center. The title was the same, though it was inverted to a white color to contrast the pitch black. The music playing was the intro theme, but more distorted and glitchy. It played throughout the game. Only option presented was load. I had no other choice but to click it. I saw one save file which had the playtime of 000, so I clicked it. Then I heard this distorted, pixelated laugh upon clicking the file. The distorted intro theme still played even with the laugh. As it loaded, instead of the message to where Tomiya narrates the preamble was something else. Something that I found disturbing. Dot 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 dot. Why? Why is this happening? After all those years I've been robbing Nagisa's trust, Sokyo, Fuko, and even Yushio, so as the others. Why should I play fair with them? I was nothing more than a curse. You were nothing more than a curse. I was scared out of my mind. I was eventually aware that the game might be a sequel to the first Clannad. I continued pressing buttons, and the first dialogues were nothing more than dot dot dot. Then there were 2 choices for me to pick, though there was no questions asked. One to go, one to ignore. I picked the first one, and the music stopped. There was a black screen that lasted for 8 seconds, then I heard static bursting out of the game. It flickered through for 3 times, and I saw a blue text formation at the black screen and said, "There is no way to be." I gulped in fear as the game was going to a darker tone. After that strange message, I was now in the game. Then I noticed something off. Instead of the intro playing like most visual novel games, I was thrust it right into the game, skipping the introduction completely. However, instead of the picture being in the school, the picture was at a graveyard at dead night, to where there was a big gravestone. A very melancholy theme played. The character I was controlling was Tomiya, but he looked sad as his image appeared. He said it was all my fault. Instead of being happy with my family, I went to a tragic end. I lost everything, including Nagisai, Yushio, and even the trust of others. I teared up a bit when his image disappeared. I knew that the gravestone had engravings of Yushio and Nagisa, and who died, but how? I was disturbed more. His image went back and talked more about the situation. He then said there's nothing I can do better, only the past in me would do better. I was nothing more than a failure. That his image had changed, and it creeped me out. His eyes were two red dots and his smile was even creepier. He had a deranged look on his face. There were sets of sharp fangs and his smile stretched at an unnatural length. The image stayed for a good 10 seconds and it took me 2 seconds to picture to my mind for good. Chills began to run around my body. I had been a failure, don't you think, said Tomiya with a disturbed face. No, I shook in fail horror. This is not what your usual behavior is. The music became more distorted and it was blaring in my headphones. The creepy face of Tomiya in the background disappeared, but before that I was left with 3 choices. Go, never come back, stop. My hands became clammy and sweaty in fear. I was completely unsure of which one of the choices to pick, so I tried to save the game, but there was no save option, making things even stranger. I clicked the second option, but there was a message popped up. There was a voice that said, "Don't do that." Clicking the third option, nothing happened. I had no choice but to pick the first option. Then I heard screeching, distorted noise, which it was the laughing sound from earlier, but played backwards. After 3 seconds, I was now in the next stage. Only this time I was now in the school. However, things were very different. I was inside Tomiya's classroom, but there were candles at the table, oddly enough. Another dialogue box appeared. "You will be late to rescue Sho Nagasai," he said silently. "Tomiya-kun, what's the matter?" Kyo said. ... Tomiya didn't say anything. The melancholy theme from earlier played and the picture shifted to students standing within the blackboard with the image of Nagasai and Yushio on the blackboard. I had no idea why these students are mourning in the middle of school. This is weird. The students were just standing doing the same thing as them, saying the same thing to Tomiya. My body felt tired. I shut the computer off and I went to the washroom to wash my gaunt face. When I looked at the mirror, my reflection was a pixelated version of my own reflection. Its eyes were 2 red dots with the same chilly smile as Tomiya from the beginning of the game. Its hair was unkempt and feathered out, and its body was purely white. It was very disturbing, and I freaked out. I rubbed my eyes and the strange reflection of me was gone, but my reflection never appeared. The only thing that was in the mirror was the bathroom. My face became pale. My eyes were tearful. My body was weak. I was crying like a baby. More tears were streaming down my face. The game was playing a sick little mind game to me. After that, I immediately noticed the melancholy theme was playing a little slower than usual. It was glitchy and loud, and even the volume lowered. I was disturbed and I was shivering. My eyes became glossy, frozen, milky from the fear. My body temperature soared as if I was having fever. Chilly air began to permeate my house and I was feeling it. The fear of the game that was going to my body and even my own mind. The next few hours I went back to my own computer. I turned the monitor on only to find out that the game seemed to freeze. There was a black screen. Even with the mentioning buttons, the black screen never disappeared. I stared at the black screen until 45 minutes later. Then, when a white lettered message appeared, something I dared to read. "You don't exist." I screamed in terror. The message just stayed there forever, and it stayed there. I turned the computer off, but that creepy message was into my own mind. I puzzled the odd events of the game, and it turned out that the main character, Tomiya, had suffered more tragic fate than what it was. The death of Nagisa and Yoshio had caused his life to turn around in the worst ways possible. The game closed itself off, and suddenly I saw a virus in my computer, and the antivirus strangely scanned my computer. It was an unidentified virus that wiped not just the game's data, but every file, and eventually shocked in complete dismay. The game was nowhere to be found at the desktop. Even if the CD was there, all my files were gone, including my web browser. The only thing left was a .png file named "You Don't Exist." But that photo had made me deeply disturbed. It was a photo of me looking in the mirror inside the washroom, the same pixelated reflection from earlier, and with those haunting features. I didn't know what exactly happened to the game I just played. That experience will just scar my brain and my life forever and ever. Ignoring it was all of a futile attempt. Badass. Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online Hollow Heart. Ever heard of games that frighten you despite not being an actual game? Well, I have a story to share. My friend and I were large fans of the Sword Art Online series. We absolutely loved the game, manga, movies, and games such as Sword Art Online, Hollow Fragment, and Lost Song. Although we were fans, we don't know everything about the series or on every collectible. Die Hard? No. Fans? Yeah. Although my friend loved Sword Art Online, his family disliked it as they believed it was thinking too far ahead, that technology was bogus. They forbid her from even watching the series on the television, and she had to bargain for hours to search up a few wikis. The only time she could truly experience the Sword Art Online franchise was when she was with me, either after school or during the holidays, whenever her family wasn't sending her for tuition and such. Recently, my friend was heading over to another country to continue her studies. She called me up one day and started rattling in my ear about all sorts of things. Mostly about us meeting up and playing a Sword Art Online video game. We debated for hours on when to meet up and what game to play. We eventually settled on Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment, the first PS Vita Sword Art Online game. He hung up and I sighed loudly. What? I thought they were a she. Recently, my friend was heading over to another country to continue her studies. She called me up one day and started rambling in my ear about all sorts of things, mostly about us meeting up and playing a Sword Art Online video game. We debated for hours on when to meet up and what game to play. We eventually settled on Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment, the first PS Vita Sword Art Online game. He hung up and I sighed loudly. I played Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment so many times that I finished all the endings and finished New Game Plus multiple times without Yuki as a character. That's how I didn't like to play it, but even hearing its name drives me into some nostalgic madness, like listening to the tune of your favorite song multiple times until you get sick of hearing it ever again. But after the call, life threw all sorts of unnecessary crap at me. 1 week before our playdate, a raven flew into my car window and cracked it, and I proceeded to poop all over it. I woke up tired and cranky on the day of our playdate and needed 2 cups of coffee to get myself to stay awake. If things were bad enough, it turns out my little sister thought it would be a good idea to play with my little brother and give my Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment cartridge a bath, leaving me with nothing but accurate memories of playing the game and how to get every ending. I all but flew out of bed. I panicked, and after getting ready, I got into the car and started the ignition and drove to the nearest game store to buy a copy of this game. I ran into a store and talked to the person selling the games. He handed me a used copy of the game and told me that it was fine and perfectly playable. Due to not having time to check the game, I had hopped into my car and drove off. That was the worst mistake in my life. Not seconds after I got to my home did my friend start rattling on my door, ringing the doorbell multiple times annoyingly. I opened the door and let her in. She ran in and started talking wildly and enthusiastically, making kids at Disneyland look either depressed and unhappy or helplessly lethargic. I sighed and dusted off my old PS Vita, which had been charging the night before, and slid in Sword Art Online Hollow Fragment. My friend picked up my PS Vita and selected to start at the bottom layer. The starting cutscene was the same as usual. Heathcliff and Credo both staring at each other ready to fight. Asuna was crying that it wasn't fair and Credo ready to kill Heathcliff. However, the cutscene didn't go like it was supposed to. Instead, the scene glitching out and stayed the same. Heathcliff charged at Credo and the screen went black. The piercing scream filled the room. The cutscene ended. I flinched and ran to the bathroom, giving excuses to my friend. This was not the game I played as a young child. The game must have been hacked, and I was ready to take the PS Vita from my friend and stop playing the game from there and move on to Lost Song. However, even though it was not the game I played as a kid, my friend's enthusiasm had to stop me from ruining this happy moment for her and I. I went back to the living room and saw my friend battling the Skull Reaper in the hollow area, but there was no Ophelia, only Credo, who seemed to swing his sword only in anger. Killing the Skull Reaper, my friend was happy, and I guided him to the end of the hollow area. However, as the talking scene started, but instead of Karita's kind and caring face, we saw him look depressed and angry. I started wondering what happened. My friend went through the talk scene and continued playing. Soon my friend hit an unknown area in the loading zone. It was off. The music of the game was distorted. It went from high pitch to low pitch and sped up and slowed down. I couldn't tell what was wrong with the game. Karita was looking downwards, his eyes depressed, and he seemed to be looking at something. The PS Vita started emitting weird noises, high-pitched creaks, and then low gas-like sounds. "What's going on, my friend?" asked. I suddenly lost all cool and blurted out the entire story. I was about to eject the cartridge when my friend stopped. "Do you really want to go through with this?" I asked her. She nodded her head and said, "Listen, I know it might sound crazy, but I want to see how things go. It's our last day together for a long time. Let's try to enjoy ourselves." My eyes filled with fear, and she simply picked up the PS2 and continued. After waiting for a while, the screen showed a cutscene. It was Agil, Celia, Elizabeth, Simeon, and Ifia, all standing in shock and awe, their mouths wide open, and in front of them stood Karita, hanging from a noose, his eyes filled with blood and his smile twisted. The screen yet again turned black and stayed there for 5 minutes. Sighing with relief, I pulled out the cartridge and left it on the side of my game shelf. My friend and I never agreed to never play the game again unless we were sure that we had legit copies of the game. We also agreed that we should post a not-so-detailed versions of our experience on a gaming community I'm part of. That's what you're reading right now. We were never the same again. But we did end off with a smile. Holy shit, dude, that was fucking awesome. In July last year, a former disabled care home employee killed 19 and injured more than 20 in a knife attack in what is believed to be the deadliest mass killing in post-war Japan. In early October, police arrested a man after he allegedly murdered his wife and 5 children and set fire to their house. Oh, swell, some nut makes trouble, and for that, makes me late for the big game. Perfect ending for an awful day. Boss turns me down for a raise, my kids need braces, and Aki is making meatloaf for dinner. At what point exactly did I become life's punching bag? That's exactly what I told myself out loud as I drove down Tokyo streets. Before the cops come speeding my way, I swerved to let them go by. "Go on, push me," sighed Big Shot. "No reason anyone should move over and make way for Haruto Akiro. That's it when some asshole decides to mess with me and speed out right in front of me." "Hey," I yelled. "Oh, that's it. No signal, no nothing. Just treat me like I don't exist." "Sorry, comrade, not this time." I chased down the lunatic driver, opened up the car window and hollered, "Hey, buddy." "Yeah, I'm talking to you, motherfucker. You think you own the whole road? Well, for 2 cents I'd crash." I jumped out of my seat when I felt something roll off the hood of my car. I slammed the brakes and turned the car off. Oh, Jesus Christ, I panicked. I got out to see if the person or animal was alright. "Hey, buddy," I called out, "are you alright?" And what I saw made me cringe. The person or thing has shaggy black hair that sweeps over its right eye, and human shoulders that blend with oversized black plush arms, which are sewed together from his elbow to its knuckles, and large clawed hands. Wore high-color sleeveless shirt with exposed sides and tied together using string in an X pattern that follows down the seams of the shirt, where 10 twin buckled straps hang loosely off of it. As well, it wore a black cape that draped over its shoulders and falls down its back, branching off into 2 ribbons that had large bells tied to them. Tight black pants and long, pointed black shoes. The thing wore the same collar cats wear, tied around its neck, with a bell resting at its center, acting as the container of the detention's most painful memories, though it has since been destroyed. Though appearing more human-like in this form, this creature retains its pointed ears, fangs, and long black tail of a cat. I then noticed the empty eye socket that was hidden by the black hair of the purslane devil. What the hell? I shuddered at the sight of the monster. I wanted to take a snapshot of the creature I struck with my vehicle. I felt as if I did so, the creature would go apeshit and attack me. I'd poking a bear with a stick. As I looked at the hood, I saw blood on the front of the car, and on the windshield, which was cracked from impact. Shit, this was going to cost me a lot of yen for this car, but that wasn't what got me. What got me was how I was going to explain the creature to my wife. She isn't going to believe me, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get this off my chest. As I drove home to our apartment, I noticed the smell of meatloaf. Damn, she knows I hate this stuff. But does she listen? No, she makes it anyway. I swear I was up to here with this. While we're at the table, Aki asked me about work. I told her 2 words. It sucked. She knew that I would come home with no paycheck from my stubborn boss. We already scheduled Kai's dental checkup for braces. I knew the dentist would want to pay us. And I knew the dentist would want to pay us since I knew we're basically broke as hell. After dinner, I went to my room to get dressed into my pajamas, and when I did, I heard Kai call my name from the apartment balcony. What is it, Kai? I called out. Something's climbing up the apartment. What? I said, now becoming concerned. Me and my wife ran over and pulled open the screen door and rushed over to where Kai was. What I saw made my wife scream, me shudder. I saw the same exact thing I ran over earlier, climbing up the side of the building similar to the style of a spider or a lizard. I was frozen, mouth agape, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The strange creature reached the balcony and crouched on the rail. Her to do something, Kira said, fear in her voice as she huddled her son. I saw blood on its mouth, the wound from my car, and the bloodshot feline eyes as it practically glowed in the dark. My wife begged me to attack it or something, but the creature heard her and tilted its head like a dog. As it looked on, I stepped forward, eyed the monster, and thoughts began swirling around my head. What I meant to say was, what do you want? In a kind of standoffish tone, but what I managed to choke out was a whimper. What? My words kind of explain how terrified I was, because I swear, on Buddha himself, the thing spoke and I answered back. Guys, the creepypasta has Japanese text, but I'll translate it for you guys right now. Daddy? My eyes were now the size of pie pans as it spoke like a child. Daddy? My wife was on the verge of tears, and I was in absolute shock. I felt as if I would run out of the apartment at any moment. Hello, Daddy? My wife begged me to do something, so I did something. Both of you get in the car now. It's me at once. I knew it wanted me. It was calling me Daddy. As soon as they got their things and ran out, I shut the door and turned to face the thing. My mouth went dry. It took several attempts before he could speak, but it came out barely a whisper. Why are you scaring my family? I am your family. The longer it talked, the more I became afraid. An icy feeling nestled in my stomach. Who are you? Someone who came to visit. I gulped. Why here? I used to live here. I licked his dry lips. We're leaving the apartment right now. You can have it. I don't want the house, it said. I want you. With all the strength I could muster, I asked the question, Are you the devil? It smiled a bit over laughing. I was a bit confused as to why it was having a laughing fit. Laughing. Oh god, this joke again. Laughing. It then finished and said, No, I am not the devil. It's a common misconception. Then, how do you know me? That's when it hit me. The bell around its neck. It said Nero. No. It can't be our family cat. Our cat that died from an oncoming car. I couldn't look away. My eyes glued to the bell, not breaking contact for some time. My vision was getting blurry until I couldn't see very well. My face grew wet. I was crying like a baby. There was nothing I could do to hold back the tears. I was with this cat from the start, built him up to greatness, and was then forced to watch his decline after a tragic accident. And now he was this thing, this abomination. Watched him turn to a monster. Nero, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you're this way. This is all my fault. I should have known better that car was heading towards you. I should have stopped you, stopped the car, everything. But you hit me again with yours. Yes, I'm sorry for that. Too. I love you. Nero then began to hug me like no one has ever hugged me before. I think I even heard her, I love you too. After that, I went to my car and moved to my parents' house, ran the Taito district. I never went back, even though Nero never meant to hurt me. But I wasn't taking any chances. Next morning, I went back home from work. My boss never gave me a raise, but still, at least my kid got braces. And after my traumatizing experiences, anything would taste great about now. Even meatloaf. What? So yeah, those were the creepypastas, and anyway, here are my thoughts. So let's go over You Don't Exist first. Since that was the first one we did, if you didn't know, if you weren't paying attention. But yeah, I thought it had some cool stuff in it, but I couldn't like 100% follow just because I'm not a Clannad fan. So Clannad fans, tell us in the comments below, please, what you think. Please tell us in the comments below what you think, Clannad fans. Please. You know, I like this. What I liked about this pasta was like how the game fucked with the player's mind. That's kind of fun. I like it when pastas do that, where it's like they fuck with how they see reality without really doing much of anything, I guess. Well, I mean, the game was messed with a lot, but you know, it's like it's messing with their perception of reality or whatever, which is neat. Yeah, and I liked how the game like took a photo of the player. That was kind of cool. Oh, they're not really realistic, so this pasta probably isn't. Well, probably didn't happen, but it was still cool. But yeah, let's move on to my thoughts about the second pasta we did. In case you weren't paying attention, it was Sword Art Online Hollow Heart. Yeah, I don't know what to start with, man, because this pasta fucking rocked. Everything in it was great, from like how they got the game to what was wrong with it. Like all I can say about this pasta is praise. Like the reason I keep playing the game, even though it's haunted, is cool. Like that stuff, it's cool. It's you know, neat. The haunted gaming itself is cool. Just everything about this pasta is cool. Please give this creator praise. I will link the pasta below in the comment section. Actually, not the comment section. Sorry, the description of the video. I'll put it in there. And please, guys, just give praise. Please tell them like what you thought. Please tell them like how this pasta is awesome and stuff. You know, only if you thought it was awesome. Though I assume you would, because I don't see how you couldn't. But yeah, I mean, I think this is one of my favorite creepypastas of all time now, and it's based off of one of my favorite animes, so that's neat. Yeah, and let's move on to the last pasta we did, the Neko. Yeah, I felt that pasta was pretty unique and cool and very enjoyable. So yeah, guys, that was my thoughts on all the pastas. I really enjoyed doing like 3 stories in one episode. I thought that was cool. Might do it sometime in the future. So yeah, feel free to give me like shorter pastas if you want. But yeah, I love doing these videos, so please, tell me what you thought in the comments, both of the pastas in this video, and, please send me suggestions. I want to do what you guys want me to do, because I enjoy this a lot. Yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Bye.